Let's talk about a rarely used trick when moving your business from one state to another. This is not an uncommon situation. People move from state A to state B here in the US because taxation, family demands, wanting a different environment for their business. There could be a lot of reasons behind the move. But a lot of people are moving from state A to state B. And I see this in my practice. People will come to me and they're like, we're moving from this state to another. What do we need to do? And I also see a lot of other lawyers, reaching out and asking for advice and opinions on what to do. And this is an area where I disagree with many other lawyers on a potential strategy. So I'm going to talk about something that a lot of lawyers don't even have on their radar. Maybe they don't consider fully, or they just don't acknowledge as being a good alternative. But I think it is a strong avenue to consider for many of you. Let's start by talking about what many people do, right? And this may be the type of advice you're running across if you've sat down with a lawyer, if you've read about this some, or if you're thinking about it, right? A lot of people do either a conversion, and that's where you have a law or statute, they call it, in each state that says you can convert. You can potentially, if you have two states that both have conversion statutes, essentially legally move your state from state A to state B. And then that then legally moves you over. You've got to update your paperwork and redo it in state B, but you've legally transferred essentially under state law from one state to another. Another option that's been used for many years, if you don't have a conversion statute, is to do a merger. And so you create a new entity and you merge the old entity into the new entity being in the target state, the new state, and the old entity being in the state you were in before. And you merge and you move the entity, right? That's another avenue to get from state A to state B. What I often do, or what I often consider, is something completely different. That is, another strategy for tackling this, when I've seen this situation come up or people have asked for advice for it, is to consider just leaving the entity in state A, right? And a lot of people just scratch their head like, why would you do that? Well, we have what we call the internal affairs doctrine here in the US. And in general, the states recognize the law of the other state. So whatever state you are formed in or incorporated in becomes the law that governs your entity. And then we often have what we call foreign qualification laws, which allows an entity registered in state A to register to do business in state B. So there's no reason in general you have to be an entity formed in state B to do business in state B. Now, a lot of people cite taxes or filings or other things. Well, a lot of times these businesses I work with might be moving to state B, but they're still going to have, some connection to state A, such that they may have to file taxes there, they may have to do stuff anyway. And in many cases, those filings or burdens are minimal. So it may make sense to avoid all the legal costs and hassles of a conversion and rewriting essentially your documents, to save all that and just pay a little bit back to state A if you do indeed have to even continue to do filings there, right? That's all very state specific. That's why we talk in general terms here on the channel, right? Obviously can't give you legal advice over a video sharing platform. I can just give you ideas, tips, tricks, things you can research, discuss, sit down with the lawyer that you choose to really go through it. My idea is just to open your mind. And one thing that very few people think about is just doing this type of foreign qualification. The foreign qualifications are often very short, often a one-page form, easy peasy. Converting the entity means you need to move the entity into the new state. You've got a different statute to comply with. Your LLC or corporate documents often have to be reworked to comply with a different statute. There's going to be different statutory references, maybe different default provisions. Really, now you open an exercise of basically reforming your company, which could cost thousands of dollars, could require reissuing stock certificates, could require a lot of work. And the question I really ask a lot of times is why? Why will we go through all this? No need for clients to pay unnecessary legal fees. If we can get to the same result, why do it? Now, there are reasons why you might want to move to a different state. If you're growing, expanding, bringing outside investors in, maybe your move from state A to state B is a chance to, redo things. In some cases, maybe you're moving from state A to state B and you want to form in state C to get some neutrality. Maybe you want to do it in Nevada or Wyoming or Delaware, which have great statutes for corporate or LLC formation. Maybe you want to go to one of these more neutral states, get some extra provisions and some extra protections, right? It's not just a straight analysis of A to B. Maybe the right choice is for you to move from state A to state B, but move your company from state A to state C, right? This is why you really need somebody who's going to sit down and strategize with you. Look at your short-term plans, look at your long-term plans, know what all the options are, have the experience to understand, and then just lay out the game pieces on the table so you can think about which way you want to go. If you have questions or thoughts, anything not confidential, feel free to put those in the comments. You can also feel free to reach out to me directly. Obviously, understand that just because you've seen one of my videos, it's not an attorney-client relationship, but I do look for ideas for future videos and things that people are interested in so that I can continue to give this type of educational content to you. So do feel free to comment if it's appropriate. If you're not giving up anything confidential, check out our library of past videos, consider subscribing, and I'll see you all for another video soon.